So you want a new computer? That's awesome! But wait, before you buy one off the shelf, have you ever thought about building your own? It sounds scary, I know, but trust me, it's super rewarding. Building your own PC means you get exactly what you want. Every single part is your choice. Think of it like Legos, but for grown-ups. And the end result? A super cool machine that you created. It's your personal tech masterpiece ready to roll. Why else should you do this? Well, how about more bang for your buck? Pre-built computers often cost more. Companies need to make a profit, right? Sometimes they use cheaper parts you don't see, like a not-so-great power supply or slower memory. When you build it, you control the budget. Every taka, every rupee, every dollar goes towards performance. You can build a faster gaming PC or a super smooth video editing station, all for the same money or even less. And get this, you'll learn so much. Understanding how your PC works is a superpower. If something goes wrong later, you'll know what to do. No more calling expensive repair people for simple fixes. Want to upgrade your graphics card in a few years? Easy. You built it, so you know how to change parts. You'll be the tech guru among your friends. It's a skill that keeps on giving, folks. Seriously, knowing your tech is cool. But the best part? That feeling of accomplishment. When you press that power button for the first time, and it all lights up and boots up perfectly. Wow, there's nothing like it. You took a box of parts and you turned it into a working computer with your own two hands. You can proudly say, I built this. It's a fantastic journey, and it starts right here, right now. Get ready for an adventure in PC building. The fun begins. First up, the CPU. That's the central processing unit. It's the brain of your computer. It does all the heavy thinking. The big names here are Intel and AMD. Both make great CPUs. For gaming or everyday tasks, an Intel Core i5 is solid, or an AMD Ryzen 5 is a real champ. Think about what you'll do with your PC. This helps you pick the right brain power. Don't go too cheap here. It's super important for speed. A happy CPU means a happy you. Next, we need a motherboard, or MOBO as cool kids call it. This is the main circuit board. Everything connects to it, everything. It's like the skeleton and the nervous system all in one. Make sure your motherboard fits your CPU. Check the CPU socket type, like AM4 for many AMD chips or LGA 1700 for newer Intel. Also, check the chipset. And the size, ATX, is common. It also needs to fit inside your PC case. So many choices, but don't worry, we'll guide you. Now for RAM, Random Access Memory. This is your PC's short-term memory. It helps you run many programs at once, without your computer slowing to a crawl. 16 gigabytes or 16 GB is a great start for most people. If you're a serious gamer or video editor, maybe 32 GB. Faster RAM with higher megahertz can also give a little speed boost. Look for a kit of 2 RAM sticks. This lets you use dual channel mode for better performance. More RAM, more speed. Last on this part of the list is storage. This is where your operating system lives, and your games, your photos, your important files. SSDs or solid-state drives are amazing. They are super fast. Your PC will boot up in seconds. NVMe SSDs are even faster, plugging right into the motherboard. Hard disk drives or HDDs are older. They are slower, but give you lots of storage for less money. Many builders use a fast SSD for Windows and programs, and a big HDD for everything else. Smart! You don't need a giant toolbox for this. Really, just a few simple things. Your number one tool will be a Phillips head screwdriver. One with a magnetic tip is a lifesaver. It stops tiny screws from falling into tricky places. Some zip ties or Velcro straps are super handy. They help make your cables look neat. Maybe a pair of small wire cutters or pliers just in case. And the most important safety tool? An anti-static wrist strap. We cannot stress this enough, folks. Let's talk about your workspace. Find a clear, large table. You need room to spread out all your cool new parts. Good lighting is also key. You need to see what you're doing with those small screws. Try to work in a room without carpet if possible. Carpets can build up static electricity, and static is the enemy of PC components. If you have a non-conductive mat, use it. If not, the cardboard box your motherboard came in works great as a surface. Okay, safety talk. This is serious business. Static electricity can fry your expensive components. Instantly. Poof, gone. So, always wear an anti-static wrist strap. You clip one end to a metal part of your PC case. The other end goes around your wrist. This keeps you grounded. Before you touch any component, touch a large metal object, like the metal PC case, before the power supply is plugged in. This discharges any static you've built up. Be safe, not sorry. A few more quick safety tips. Always unplug the power supply unit from the wall before you put your hands inside the case. This sounds obvious, but it's easy to forget. Don't ever force parts if they don't seem to fit. You could break a pin or a connector. Take a moment, check the alignment, and read the manuals, especially for your motherboard and CPU. They have specific, important instructions. Building a PC is fun, not a race. Take your time. Time for some delicate work. First, get your motherboard ready. Carefully take it out of its anti-static bag. Remember what we said about static? Place the motherboard on top of its cardboard box. This gives you a safe, raised, non-conductive surface to work on. Now find the CPU socket on the motherboard. There's a little lever or arm next to it. Gently lift this lever up. This opens the socket ready for the CPU. Be super careful with the socket pins. Now for the brain itself, the CPU. Handle it by its edges. Look for a small arrow or triangle in one corner of the CPU. There will be a matching mark on the CPU socket or a specific notch pattern. Carefully align these marks. The CPU should then drop into the socket very easily. Absolutely no force should be needed. If it doesn't drop in, double check the alignment. Once it's perfectly seated, gently lower the lever. You might feel a bit of resistance, that's normal. The brain is in. Next up are the RAM sticks, your PC's fast memory. Look at the RAM slots on your motherboard. They are usually beside the CPU socket. There are little clips at one or both ends of these slots. Push these clips outwards to open them. Check your motherboard manual. It will tell you exactly which slots to use first. If you have 2 RAM sticks, it's often the second and fourth slots. This enables dual channel mode for better performance. Very important for speed. Now take a RAM stick. Notice the little notch on the bottom edge. This notch isn't in the center. Align this notch with the little bump in the RAM slot. It only fits one way, so don't force it. Once it's aligned, push down firmly on both ends of the RAM stick. You should hear a satisfying click, and the clips on the slot will snap back into place. That means it's locked in. Do the same for the second stick. Awesome! RAM installed. Alright, let's get that motherboard into its new home, the PC case. First, you need to prepare the case. Most cases have removable side panels, so take them off so you have lots of room to work. Now, look inside the case on the motherboard tray. You should see some little brass or metal things called standoffs. The motherboard sits on these and they prevent it from touching the metal case directly. This stops electrical shorts, which, trust me, is pretty important. Some cases come with standoffs pre-installed, but if not, just screw them in to match the holes on your motherboard. Before the motherboard goes in, there's one small part you can't forget. The I/O shield. This is a thin metal plate that came with your motherboard. It has cutouts for all the ports on the back, like USB, audio jacks, and the network port. So find the rectangular opening at the back of your PC case and push the I/O shield into this opening from the inside of the case. It might take a bit of firm pressure, but make sure it snaps in securely. Oh, and check it's the right way up. Now for the main event in this step. Carefully pick up your motherboard, holding it by the edges or the CPU cooler, and gently lower it into the case. You need to align 2 things. First, the screw holes on the motherboard with the standoffs you installed, and second, make sure the ports on the back of the motherboard line up correctly with the cutouts in the I/O shield. This can be a little tricky, so you might need to wiggle it gently. Patience is key here, so don't rush it. Once everything is aligned perfectly, it's time to screw it in. Use the correct screws. These usually come with your PC case, or sometimes with the motherboard. Start with 1 screw in a corner, but don't tighten it all the way yet. Then put in a screw on the opposite side. This helps keep the motherboard flat and aligned. Once all the screws are in, tighten them gently. Just snug is perfect. Don't over-tighten, you could damage the board. Hooray! The motherboard is mounted. Section 6. Power up. Installing the PSU and storage. Let's give this PC some power. Time to install the PSU. That's the power supply unit. It takes power from your wall outlet and converts it into the power your PC parts need. Find the big empty space for the PSU in your case. It's usually at the bottom rear or sometimes at the top rear. Gently slide the PSU into this bay. Pay attention to the fan on the PSU. If your case has a vent on the bottom, the fan should face down. Otherwise, it usually faces inwards. Secure it with screws from the outside of the case. Now, let's connect power to the motherboard. This is super important. Find the biggest connector coming from your PSU. It's usually a 24-pin connector, sometimes 20 plus 4-pin. Find the matching 24-pin socket on your motherboard. It's pretty large, you can't miss it. It only fits one way, so align it carefully. Push it in firmly until you hear or feel it click. Next, find the CPU power connector. This is usually an 8-pin or 4 plus 4-pin connector. It plugs in near the CPU socket. This gives your CPU its juice. Push firmly until it clicks. Next up, storage drives. Your SSDs and HDDs, where all your precious data will live. Find the drive bays in your PC case. For a 2.5-inch SSD, there will be small flat bays, or maybe special mounting points. If you have an M2 SSD, it installs directly onto the motherboard in a special M2 slot. Just slot it in and secure it with a tiny screw. For larger 3.5-inch HDDs, there are bigger bays. Slide your drives into their bays and secure them with screws. Make them snug. With the drives mounted, they need power and data connections. For SATA drives, which is most 2.5-inch SSDs and 3.5-inch HDDs, you need to connect a SATA power cable from your PSU and a SATA data cable. The SATA data cable goes from the drive to a SATA port on your motherboard. Your motherboard manual will show where these ports are. M2 SSDs that use the NVMe protocol usually don't need separate power cables. They get power directly from the M2 slot. Looking good, power and storage are nearly done. Section 7. Graphics, glorious graphics and other cards. Do you want to play beautiful games? Or edit high-resolution videos? Or do 3D modeling? Then you definitely need a dedicated graphics card, also known as a GPU. This powerful part handles all the visuals. It renders everything you see on your screen. It's like having a specialized supercomputer just for graphics. For basic office work or web browsing, the graphics built into some CPUs, integrated graphics, might be okay. But for serious visual horsepower, a dedicated GPU is a must-have component. Time to install this beast. Find the longest PCIe slot on your motherboard. It's usually the one closest to the CPU. It's often labeled as PCIe X16. This is where your graphics card will live. Now look at the back of your PC case. You'll see metal slot covers. You need to remove the cover, or covers, that lines up with the PCIe slot you chose. Usually they are held in by a small screw or they snap out. Next, open the little retaining clip at the far end of the PCIe slot on the motherboard. Carefully take your graphics card out of its anti-static bag. Hold it by its edges or the metal bracket. Align the gold connector edge of the GPU with the PCIe slot. Make sure it's oriented correctly. It should slide in with a bit of gentle, even pressure. Push down firmly until you hear it click into place, and the retaining clip on the slot should flip back. The graphics card is a big, heavy component, so make sure it's seated properly and securely in the slot. Once the card is in the slot, you need to secure it. Use a screw to fasten its metal bracket to the PC case, where you removed the slot cover earlier. This keeps it from wobbling. Many powerful graphics cards need extra power directly from your PSU. Look for 6-pin or 8-pin, or even newer 12-pin power connectors on the top edge or end of the GPU. Connect the corresponding PCIe power cables from your PSU. If your GPU needs 2 connectors, plug in 2 cables. Don't starve your hungry GPU. Section 8. Cable management, making it look good and work. Now let's talk about cables. Lots and lots of cables. Cable management isn't just about making your PC look pretty, though a clean build with tidy cables is super satisfying to look at. Good cable management actually helps your PC. It improves airflow inside the case. Better airflow means cooler components, and cooler components run better and last longer. Plus, if you need to upgrade or fix something later, it's much easier if you don't have a tangled nest of wires. So it's totally worth the effort. One of the trickiest parts is connecting the front panel connectors. These are very small cables from your PC case for the power button, reset button, power LED, and hard drive activity LED. They connect to a group of tiny pins on your motherboard, usually at the bottom edge. Your motherboard manual is your absolute best friend here. It will have a diagram showing exactly where each little connector goes and which way around. This can be fiddly. Take your time. Use a flashlight if needed. Next, let's deal with the bigger power cables, like the main 24-pin motherboard power cable and the 8-pin CPU power cable and the PCIe power cables for your graphics card. Most modern PC cases have space behind the motherboard tray. This is perfect for routing these cables. Try to run them back there, then bring them out through cutouts near where they need to connect. This keeps them mostly hidden from the main compartment. Use those zip ties or Velcro straps to bundle them neatly. Finally, connect any fan cables to fan headers on the motherboard or to a fan controller if you have one. Tuck away any extra length of cable. Use more zip ties or Velcro straps to secure loose cables. Make sure no cables are blocking any fans or touching any components that get hot, like the graphics card heatsink. Step back and look at your work. Does it look tidy? Can air flow freely? Awesome! A well-managed PC is a happy PC, and you're almost ready for the big moment. Section 9. The moment of truth. First boot and OS install. This is it, the moment we've all been waiting for. But hold on, one last check. Before you hit that power button, do a quick pre-flight inspection. Is the CPU cooler fan plugged into the CPU_fan header? Is the RAM fully clicked in? Is the graphics card fully seated in its slot? And are its power cables connected if it needs them? Are all the main power cables connected securely? To the motherboard, 24-pin and CPU 8-pin, and to your storage drives. Is your monitor plugged into the graphics card output? Not the motherboard video output if you have a GPU. Okay, deep breath. Now plug the main power cord into the PSU and then into the wall socket. Plug in your keyboard, mouse and monitor. Make sure the power switch on the back of the PSU is flipped on, usually I for on. Okay, are you ready? Take another deep breath and press the power button on the front of your case. Look for signs of life. Fan should start spinning. Lights on the motherboard or case might turn on, and hopefully something will appear on your monitor screen. You might see the motherboard manufacturer's logo or text saying press Dell to enter setup. This is a huge win. What if nothing happens? Or it turns on but nothing on screen? Don't panic. This happens sometimes. First, check the simple things. Is the PSU switch on? Is the monitor turned on and on the right input? Double check all your power connections inside the case, especially the 24-pin motherboard power and the CPU power. Try reseating the RAM sticks. Take them out, put them back in firmly. Same for the graphics card. Your motherboard manual might have troubleshooting tips or beep codes or error LEDs that tell you what's wrong. It's often a loose connection. If you see the BIOS or UEFI screen, congratulations! Your hardware is likely working. Now you need to install an operating system, like Windows or a version of Linux. You'll usually install this from a USB flash drive. You need to create a bootable USB installer on another computer first. When your new PC starts, press the key to enter BIOS or UEFI setup. It's often Delete, F2, F10 or F12. Look for a boot menu. Change the boot order to make your USB drive the first boot device. Save settings and exit. The PC will restart and should boot from the USB. Then just follow the on-screen instructions to install your OS. Welcome to your brand new self-built PC. You did it!